Hello and welcome back to Bitabyte. Today we are diving into the second part of our full stack application series where we will be building the Java Spring Boot backend. Let's get started. In our last video, we set up the development environment and created our Spring Boot project with the Spring Initializer. We also created our MongoDB database. If you haven't seen that video yet, I recommend checking it out first. Spring Boot makes it easy to create standalone production-grade API-based applications. It simplifies the back-end development process with its convention over configuration design. Our goal today is to create a simple RESTful API that our React front-end can interact with. The first step is to create a controller. This is where we'll define our endpoints. Here's an example of a simple controller. If we send a GET request with Postman to this endpoint, it will return a string of hello world. So we can see that our endpoint is test, and it's going to be running on http://localhost:8080 as the port. And here's our simple controller. Let's go ahead and run our application. Wait for this to start. Started. All right, now we'll send this request and it returns hello world. Next, we'll add some business logic. For simplicity's sake, we'll create a service that returns a static message. First, we can start off by creating a new package in here. So new package, we'll call it service. And we'll create a Java class of just test service. And we can give this the @service annotation. And we'll create a method in here. So public hello world, and this returns a string of hello world. We can go back to our book controller and then auto whether this service. Give this a private identifier. And then instead of this, we'll do return test service hello world. We can go ahead and start this application. Then hit the same endpoint and see we still get hello world. Now let's integrate the database. First, we'll need to connect to the database. So we'll connect to the Mongo. And let's create a collection. We'll call it book. Create that database. Now we'll go to our application properties. This is in the resources folder, and we'll add the spring data mongo.uri to our application. So this is our connection, our username, our password, and then it's localhost and the collection we just created. I have created a example book JSON that I'm going to upload to our Mongo database so we can have some example data in there for us. So we can see we have title, author, year, published, genre. Then we can go ahead and add data, import JSON, and go to where it's stored, and import. So there we go, our data is imported into the database. Now that we have our data in the database, we can create an entity. So we can create a new package called model, and then Java class, and call it book. We'll add this to our Git repo. And then we can go ahead, annotate this with document. What do we have? So we have ID, private. We have a title, author, and then we have a genre. And then we can create constructors and getters and setters for this. So on Windows, you can do Alt Insert. This will pop up the generator where you can do constructor, select all those, insert, and then do Alt Insert again, do getters and setters. We can also come down here and do a toString for debugging. Now we need to create a repository, so we'll create a new package called repository. And let's create a Java class of book repository. Actually need to change this to interface. Then we'll say it extends Mongo repository. Then our book. And then the ID is a string. Let's create a book service. And in here, we'll add the @service tag again. And then a private final book repository. Let's do a constructor and auto wire this constructor. Let's first add a public method that returns a list of books. So we'll do get all books. And we can call return our book repository dot final. And now this will return all of the books in our database. We can then go to our book controller and remove everything that we have in here. We'll first do a private final book service, and add a constructor and auto wire that. We'll then do a get mapping of get books, and then we'll do public list of book, dependency of list, and then do get all books. And we'll return that book service dot get all books. Now we can go ahead and start this application and change our input to books. Okay, I did have an issue when I was starting the application. So in order for us to actually call from the application, we need to add this $auth source equal admin. And then in the POM, I also removed the reactive from the dependency for Mongo. So if we go ahead and start this application and then hit the endpoint, we'll see we get all of our books back, which is the expected result. Now that we know that get all books endpoint is working, let's go ahead and let's add some books to this. So let's go back to our book service, and we can do a public book add book. And return our book repository dot save our book. Let's go to our controller, and then we can do a @post mapping of books, and then a public book add book, and @request body of book and then return our book service first dot add book, and then the book. So now let's go ahead and test that so we can restart our application. Go over to our postman and go post. So HTTP localhost 8080 books, And then we can go to our body because it's in the request body. And this is going to be a raw JSON that we're passing in. So we can do this example book here. We can send this request, say return the book that we added. And then we can get all of the books, and we can now see that that example book was also added. So now that we added a book, we can go ahead and create a delete method. So delete book, we'll enter the ID for deletion, and then book repository.delete, and then ID. We need to change this to delete by ID. All right, let's get back to our controller and do at delete mapping of /books, book, void, delete book. And then we'll do a path variable of string ID. We'll call our service of delete book by ID. Oh, I forgot to add this path variable here so we can actually input it. So let's go ahead and restart. And then go ahead and grab this ID here. And we'll put it in here and delete. Oh, forgot the slash. We'll restart again. Now we can delete it. Perfect. So we got a 200 back. That's good. And we can show this list of all books again. It's not there anymore, which is good. All right, now that we have delete, we can work on our updates. So public void update book. Takes the ID and a book. We do the details of the book. We'll do return book repository dot find by ID, pass in the ID, and map that book to the existing book. The arrow function, an existing book. Let's add this down here. Set title to book details dot get title. Existing book dot set author, book details dot set author, existing book dot set year published, detail dot get year publish. Existing book dot set genre, then book details dot set genre. Oh, details dot get genre. Oh, I need to add the return of book repository dot save existing book. I need to make it return an optional book. There we go. Now we can go to our book controller and do a put mapping /books. And we'll put an ID of the book. Public response entity of book. Date book. Path variable again. A string ID. And we'll have a response body of book details. We'll do optional book. Updated book equals book service dot update book ID and our book details. And return our updated book dot map response entity. Okay. Or else get a lambda function of response entity dot not found. We need to build this too. There we go. Now we can go ahead and restart this application and actually test out our update. So we'll do put, and then we'll go ahead and create this book. Copy this body raw JSON. Delete the ID, or actually we'll leave the ID and then copy this ID. And then we'll change it to updated book title and send this request. It returns it. So now we go back to list all the books. We have updated book and the example book is no longer there. That's it for today. We've set up our API for listing all the books, adding a book, deleting a book, and updating a book. In the next video, we'll start building our front end. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss it. If you have any suggestions or questions, leave them in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.